All right, we're going to start today with a little message that Cafecito Break was called upon to share as part of us being independent content creators, also known as Cafecito Break. People want more than symbols and tokens. Dangling Kamala Harris as if she is some prize for our communities is not working. Using famous celebrities to bait us is not working. We see right through it. It's time to demand more from our elected officials or elected presidential officials to be. Latinos for America First, Cafecito Break.
From these two Latinas out there to the community. Mi gente, welcome to this week's episode 15.
High five to the 15.
And we're growing, mi gente. And you know what? We pray that all of you out there are doing wonderfully. Thank you so much for spending your time with us because we know how precious time is. So thank you so much. We do not take it for granted. And we kind of just want to jump into, you know, a couple of the things that we're seeing happening today in our country.
Hot topics.
Very bien caliente topics. And, you know,
this is us sort of bringing in those outside conversations into the sacred space, right?
The other, of who you are,
right,
and of the community, sacred space of the community, sacred space of, you know, self-care. But like I always like to say, you know, self-care is not just what we're eating, you know, what we're reading, how we're working out, people we hang out with. It's what you devote your time to, it's what you commit to, it's everything that's happening on the outside as well, because those things directly impact your life and your lifestyle. So it's very important to have these little chats about these, especially when they're really caliente, like what is happening in today's world as we're leading towards this election.
There's been an explosion, and you know, we wanted to kind of share some insights in sort of like, this is kind of like a moment where a lot of the different hats that we've worn throughout the years or still wear kind of like they intersect.
They kind of, yeah.
They kind of go together. So we have community members that are from all sides of the spectrum. Welcome. And what that means is that, and this is what drives people crazy, right? When they see us and they see our platform and they're like, how come we don't see you featuring different points of views more often, or it seems like you're always just attacking one over the other. Well, sometimes we're just highlighting biases from the in-group that we've grown up and been a part of our whole lives. And when people don't see us, for example, attacking too much other, or I don't want to say attacking, we're just highlighting different inconsistencies about other, in other places, is because we're still learning about that, right? Like, we're not really well versed in the intricacies of what it means to be a right wing or a Republican or a conservative. We're learning those worlds. We've been born and raised in New York City, and 90% plus of our world still today, still with all of the sort of content that we create and things that we have been a part of, I will say that maybe still a high 90-ish% is made up of liberal, left-leaning, democratic ways of thinking. And our mission here, our goal here is not to put anybody off, not to create enemies, but to sort of invite more perspectives into the table. And we know we don't always get it right. We're not asking you to believe us. We're just saying, come along with us on this journey as we share with you things that we have discovered, things that we have been very close to as people who have had a metaphysical shop for a decade. What does that mean? That means that people are really trusting you and sharing very deep personal insights, and you get to witness a whole bunch of transformations. And the hat that we used to wear we are crossovers from music television. My sister worked at VH1, Save the Music. I got my start at VH1. And when we crossed over, for example, into like having a metaphysical wellness shop, a lot of our clients were from the industry. You know, they always say like attracts like. Like sometimes you try to run away or you want to make up your life in a whole new way, and you keep seeing themes, characters, similarities keep coming into your life. And at one point, I don't know about my sister, maybe she thought the entertainment business was behind. I thought my entertainment days were behind me, but there's something about there's something about the entertainment industry. There's something about all of the celebrity world, Hollywood music, all of that is very powerful, and it's playing into today.
Because I think I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? The entertainment world is also a platform that gets used to deliver information to the masses, whether directly or subconsciously. And I know that some people would say that's conspiracy. It really isn't, family. Like, there's so many examples of it. If you just, it's so many movies, so many songs, so many examples of the way information gets decimated to us, or the way they start imprinting certain things that sort of help pave the way for us to ride the wave when it sort of kind of manifests in the moment. We all see the way celebrities get used on both sides, right? In today's world, whenever they want to help push something or a message, right? They try to grab the latest hot person to be a face for whatever messaging, right? It could be anything. It could be medicine. It could be politics. It could be some new social, cool thing that they want to try to push, or some other perspective. And they always work with the celebrities. Why? Because one thing that we all have in common as a people, no matter where you are in the world, is that most of us are kind of connected to celebrities through the TV, through la música, and we all have memories that are infused through them, right? I mean, we can all just think back and, that one actor, we almost feel like we know them, right? Because maybe we saw all their movies and they always made us feel great. Or that person that we grew up listening to, like, like Michael Jackson, for example, when he passed, or Prince, the world felt shook, right? Because so many of us grew up with their music. They were part of so many of our memories, our emotions, and that we feel like we know them, So when they want to teach us something, or get information across, or impact us, or get some messaging, or grab our attention, one of the easiest ways to do that is to, use people that we're all pretty familiar with, which happens to be usually celebrities.
I mean, somebody that we already have an intimate connection with.
Exactly. So the work is almost already done, because you get you want to look like, you want to know, wait, why is that person there? And that has always been a thing. Well, not always, but it has been a thing for a little bit, right? Like for decades in all perspectives. And, I feel like these days we're seeing that happen all the time. Like the big one this week, in the last week.
Megan Thee Stallion. And let me tell you, back in the day when I was in love with Obama, where I fell for his cadence, his charm, when I had dreams that he was my boyfriend, and I've shared this before, and I was like,
he had charm.
I was like, what? But Michelle, what are we gonna tell Michelle? Like, you're holding my hand in public. What's going on here, Obama? Like, literally. And I remember those days. There was, you kept seeing like the Beyoncés, right? Jay-Z around. It just felt like hip hop royalty. And the president, the Obamas, they were like the royalty of the White House.
It added this like freshness, this coolness,
I'm like,
vibe
oh
to
my
politics.
God.
And
And then it went like this. Then it took a deep dive this way.
A deep dive.
A deep dive. So maybe this was like the pinnacle of when we were still believing in the magic, like Disney, and then it starts like the apocalypse, the great unveiling, where fast forward to the future, one of my favorite beloved actors, Robert De Niro, of Analyze This. I don't have a lot of favorite actors, and I don't have a lot of movies that I really consider are my favorite because
those movies.
music, movie watching is not my favorite craft, right? Just whatever. I know some people love movies, it's okay, and we all have our little niches, right? But all that to say that it broke my heart when I saw Robert De Niro with major TDS being just put out there, and I was like, pobre viejito. Did he piss somebody off?
Like, what happened to
Robert De Niro?
We lost Robert. We don't know how.
We lost
Something happened.
Roberto De Niro. I mean, he pissed off everyone. He went from being cool, playing all these mafia kind of, cool guy, boss roles to, I know a lot of people, Italians who have disowned him. They was like, he's
like,
not
"What
part of our
happened?"
pack.
Oh my God.
Why? And it's a little sad, right? Because the art that's produced with the artists and people, and then the man behind the art, two different cadences. I'll take the actor, I'll take the movies of him, but the human being and what he's pushing out there may not be the most helpful. Now, I will say that there are some celebrities that may be more wiser to the game, and I guess like with everybody, right, this is how it's recommended that you sort of kind of get to know and do your research and discern, because there are people who have had an organic awakening. We've had organic awakenings. We were in some of these environments that maybe didn't create the best of the best, but because we know that good people also work in these places, it's not easy for us to be like, canceled, don't ever listen to Megan Thee Stallion music. We would be the biggest hypocrites in the world if we would tell you that us loving music the way we do, being, lovers of hip hop, right? That was seated here in New York.
Yeah.
That we're gonna be like, that's part of our genetics.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. I can't disown, let's say, hip hop, for example, in that sense. But that doesn't mean that because I love that genre of music that it is right for every setting. Like, is Megan Thee Stallion right for the setting of a nightclub? Yeah. For adults? Yeah. For politics, where most of her lyric can't even be sung, and she's there, she was looking cute, and so was her backup.
She's a hot mama.
Listen, Megan Thee
We gotta
Stallion.
call it the way it
Megan
is.
Thee
She's a hot
Stallion
mama.
is a beautiful woman, and she's talented, and she was shaking her buns. But was that the right setting?
It's one of those things. It's, I can only speak for myself, and for myself, in any political environment, I don't get flabbergasted by a name, a big celebrity name being there. Like, because I know some people are like, well, Megan performed for the Kamala thing, but, people perform for like other rallies, like Trump rallies and stuff. And that is 100% right. There's always some sort of celebrity performance, some actor, some big wig. And if I'm going to be 100% honest with you, none of that excites me, because I've learned to understand that, obviously they're being used mostly for their attention, the attention that they will get, right? But we should we all got to start understanding that, you know, that there's a reason behind these names being brought into these big events usually. And from a business perspective, you get it. It's getting the attention. However, I think what the reason why it kind of upsets me a little bit more with, like, particularly this last rally with Kamala is because there wasn't really any time spent trying to really communicate to us, especially people of color, um, what what your policies are. What are you really planning? Like, you know, you, it's your job to sell yourself to us. You know, like, you want to be the next leader of this country. Tell me why. You know.
Well, she said, say it to my face.
Yeah, but again, not saying she's like talking a lot of caca, but did you take the time to share the accomplishments that you've shared or that you've created the last 3.5 years? I'm not interested.
Like the accomplishments at the border have been very impressive.
She's never even been to the border.
Maybe
You know, I'm not
maybe
really,
once she went there kind of close, but not really fully there.
right. She wasn't full.
She was sort of
officially.
like in the vicinity, I hear.
She got close.
She got close.
Um, you know, it's one of those things where, yes, would it be fantastic to see a woman of color in high titles representing our country?
Bringing
Absolutely,
it
that's so
on.
beautiful. That's amazing. I'm excited to see people of color rise within these worlds that they haven't yet had a voice in, because I know that there are qualified, amazing people out there that are there already or rising, right? But to go back to Kamala, because she is the one that stands to be president of this country, you know, we're going to look at her past history, we're going to look at her experience, but most importantly, we're going to look at your last 3.5 years, because that is the most present information, and that is what should be one of the main things that should show us, the people, that you're qualified to continue another 4 years. And there was nothing that she did or shared there to let us know of anything she accomplished, anything that we should really look forward to that would make me feel excited. And so to me, that is where, when I go back and I look at the performances, this is where it gets a little insulting to me, because it's like, oh, so you're just trying to bait us with entertainment, but you didn't at least back it up with some real meat, with some real juice, with some real, like, information that we, the people of color, also deserve. You know, like mi gente. I know, like my sister and I always say, we're not telling you who to vote for, but what we are asking is for you to have stricter criteria about who's going to get your vote. You know, your vote and your time and your energy and your support is powerful and met from different angles, regardless of the different voices that say maybe it isn't.
Right.
But every individual is powerful no matter what, and the things that we can accomplish locally and up. Pero we gotta have a criteria. We gotta stop letting these elected officials, and I don't care to what levels, come in and out of our communities, bait us with something entertaining, but it's empty, right? It's empty. They're not, they don't showcase anything, or they make promises that they never keep. And I just feel like it's high time that we look at all elected officials from either side and say, no, I want more, I want to see more, I want to understand, and I want to see it be put into action finally. Like, I'm tired of being, just because of our color, I'm tired of us being like the little tokens, the background for you, and then we get forgotten.
I'm tired of being background. Let me tell you why I dipped out of supporting so much of the Democratic stuff, because I didn't see the Latino Americans or small business entrepreneur minded kind of supported in those places. Maybe kind of talked about when it's trendy and nice, but since I remember doing activism, listen, this is no offense, but whenever I would hear about a grant, it was either about what you would do to support immigration, DACA, dreamers, or climate justice? Aren't there more topics to be concerned about? But these were always everywhere. And then when you don't think, and so these were not like subjects that I was paying attention to, but we were led down community activism, and we participated with several nonprofits all over Brooklyn, in the city, in the Bronx, like in Queens sometimes, even Long Island. Like we've been in different places, like New Rochelle, like different places.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Shout out to all those places.
Thank you. And it was disappointing to hear people say that they're doing liberation work and there's nothing about Latinos, Americans, entrepreneurs, small business, education that you're really hearing about. Again, it was just climate justice, and however, change green, greenifying the neighborhoods, open streets. And we moved from DACAs to dreamers and just supporting, mass immigration to where we are today. Now, the sisters, us, when it's come to really fully understanding what's going on at the border, yeah, maybe we came a little late into the game. Some of it was because I admit I was brainwashed. Because everything that we were surrounded was hold this big, overwhelming space for this. And because we're good-hearted people and we give and we support, we've been taken advantage of. And nothing woke us up like 2020 when I saw all of these community activists, these nonprofits that we've been familiar with for 10 years plus, these local elected officials, all of their attention went where? To supporting, which is okay, the less fortunate, but there was nothing about small businesses, entrepreneurs, like students. Like we've been face to face in the present moment with some of these people, and they still do not believe or understand the severity of the decisions that they participated in. And
that was not helpful, mostly to their local constituents, which is, what they were there for in the first place, to prioritize the people you represent. So that has been very shameful to see within local officials all over the city in the last few years. And for any of you out there that may be wondering why my sister maybe keeps mentioning small business, a couple reasons. One, New York is a dying breed for small businesses for so many reasons right now, right? But us personally, we did have an actual brick and mortar for 9 years, which was already challenging to maintain, because if you're a business owner, a brick and mortar owner anywhere, but especially in a place like New York City, you know the many challenges you get all the time. It's not easy. But then cue in 2020 and all the ways things started to get handled and the ways it started to impact small businesses, there was zero support. And if anything, it almost seemed like every decision that was being made was only to make it even harder, more challenging for small businesses, because I don't think that there was ever a policy or support that really came out that sort of really genuinely made sense and was incredibly helpful to most small businesses. Hence, we lost how many small businesses in the last few years?
So many. We've lost a lot of residents. We've lost,
including our own, by the way.
By Botanical, we just had an anniversary, 2 years since we closed. Thank you, New York City policies.
They were very helpful.
So helpful. So helpful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Yeah.
I didn't know that you sang, Alex.
Yeah, it's in there. Look. I'm working on my.
We are music Lovers all the way. And so, yeah, yes, there's still some sour notes there because it's, we're in a big fine mess. We're in a big fine mess. We've billions and billions have left New York, New York City. We have
Which
welcomed.
means jobs have left, opportunities, and obviously the money that makes the city go round.
We have welcomed hundreds and thousands of immigrants who are here illegally
And still continue to come,
every day.
be bussed in.
Biden administration has paid for flights of these humans who get to board an airplane and go through less
Security.
than we Americans have to go through. So while 2020 happened and we went through hell being locked down, you couldn't move to certain places depending on where you at. You had to show if you were vaccinated or not. We've had millions of people cross the border illegally. And because of the conditioning that most of our peers had in New York City, they just couldn't seem to get over the fact that we were being xenophobic for raising points like, what's going to happen when all of these people come here and now we have to share resources with low income communities or other New Yorkers or veterans? Everybody has gotten pushed out.
And
Everything
we're not
has
even
gotten
sharing
affected.
resources.
And everything has gotten, every form of social service, the hospital system, the educational system has been impacted to our detriment. There are so many pop-up shelters where migrants are being housed in your neighborhood without you knowing. And most of the time they are, even though it may look like it's intentional, and maybe not, part of it is because there might be more facilities in certain neighborhoods, but you see the migrants in the lower income community. It's almost like they get to sort of blend in, right? Because you have a lot
easier.
of black and browns coming in, but they're not the only humans that are coming through the border. You have human beings from different parts of the countries coming through the southern border and also the Canadian border. It's demasiado.
I mean, let's just be real. We have people coming into this country by land, sea, and air. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
of people even like jet skiing into the shores of our country from
Yeah.
random angles.
Oh, but this is a country of immigrants. You're being xenophobic.
Listen, what we're being is idiotic because now we've created the biggest problem in this country, and every single person that voted or that supported this almost mindlessly, and it's not to insult. If that's you, I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm just trying to be practical because there was so much that went into more from an emotional place and not a practical place. And wanting to support, open the borders. What could go wrong? Yeah, let them come in. What could go wrong? And now we have people that we can't take care of all over this country. I mean, we cannot take care of them. The homelessness levels in this country, I don't know about you, but I don't ever like to see homeless people, and now we are surrounded by it. And if you're in particular neighborhoods, it's extreme. Do you like to see children? Okay, child labor.
It's happening right under our noses.
Right in our face. Brothels.
Prostitution right under our noses.
Right in our faces. Children, by the way, a lot of youngins. Like all of these, all of those policies and that, oh my God, don't be xenophobic, and everyone's focusing more on being emotional has contributed to the mass problems that we are facing right now in this country. And it's not just us people, mi gente, the Americans. These people coming in and all these children, a lot of them are incredibly vulnerable. They are being used. Do you think that I like to see that they get used like a little ploy? Oh yeah, let's just bust them to Kamala's house so that she could be bothered. Yeah, I understand the message they're trying to give her. But those are actual human beings
that you're messing
that
around
you
with.
put in a bus for how many hours from Texas?
Yeah, that's
all the
terrible.
way, right, with children, you know, who have nothing, who came here. And it's just like from all angles, from a human perspective, this has become a humanitarian crisis.
Literally, human beings are being trafficked right for all of us to see. Oh, don't call it that. That implies something else.
And it's
bruh.
just getting worse and worse, family. And when we are thinking about who we're going to vote for, you gotta demand, you gotta look at what the problems that are really happening in your country, and you gotta try to understand or make the choice or however you're gonna go about it. But whatever chess move, whatever support, you have to think about those things that are impacting you. I mean, not to mention our milk is incredibly crazy. Our jobs, our safety is. There's so many major issues right now. We're
being pushed to a gig economy. While we were celebrating, let's make the minimum wage $15. Let's make it $20.
I see. Let's support that. And now
Right.
you know what has happened
All across
to those jobs,
the board.
to those businesses. For any of you that may or may not know, that thought, okay, yes, the minimum wage goes up. That's fantastic. Now a lot of those businesses are closing.
Why? Because people.
Which means now those people that got a raise don't even have a job.
Yeah, because they've been out, right? Because it's like, see, one of the ways that I woke up to a lot of things is because when I was in the music industry, my specific job was to create budgets. So when you create a budget for a show production that's going to air on the television, you need to understand your numbers and you need to understand how the big picture is gonna fill out. So this boring job of creating a budget was actually very, very instrumental for me to see the big psyop in 2020 when everything got locked down and we got locked down. Guess how I'm looking at everything? I'm looking at everything as a big, giant production. And I'm asking myself, okay, where's the money going? Where's the money flowing? Where's the money not going?
It didn't go into our pockets. It didn't go into our neighborhoods. It didn't go into our small businesses. It didn't go into the schools.
No, we created so many more billionaires during those times.
Right, so it didn't go into the places where it should have gone to. If
it went to killing small businesses, lots of them, and they're still being destroyed. Right. Iconic places, historical places that have been around
forever.
Gone, nowhere to be found. And us celebrating all those, increases in wages. If you look now,
many of them are gone.
What's happening besides some of those places being gone? What's happening to McDonald's, for example? You're seeing less chairs and you're seeing more, let me order what I want via a computer.
We're being replaced, mi gente, by robots. Robots. Because
we're ushering in our own demise.
So we're helping it.
Right. So when we're over here like going to like Whole Foods and being squeaky wheels, and those of us who still go old school and we want to get checked out by a cashier, we're trying to save your job.
That's me.
We're trying to save your job.
And let me tell you something. Sometimes I have to wait, and she knows too, because she does the same, and other people I know do the same. Sometimes we have to wait a very long time to have a human being check me out. Because
even though there might be all these tons of human beings everywhere.
They have like 20 cashiers, right?
But 2 people may be checking you out.
But then they have like 20 self-checkouts that all work. And so, of course, because we've been trained to be impatient, to want to go, because we're so overwhelmed and so overburdened most of the time, well, what do most people do? I'm going to go self-checkout and get out of here.
Oh, but what happened the other day? Nobody could do self-checkout the other day. They were all down, all of them. Everybody had to wait in the good old-fashioned cashier line.
And the reason why we're bringing this up, which may not feel like it connects,
it's all connected,
it's all
community
connected,
members.
and especially during 2020, because when this 2020 experience happened worldwide, what did they inflict in us besides fear, right? They inflicted us, they trained many of us to not want to be near each other, to want to go as quickly as possible because I can't be in the same space with someone if God forbid you have
To
germs.
social distance.
Right. So then what is that?
We had to practice being
so
in our
then
separate circles.
What does that actually do? Well, they came up with extra ways to have robots be in the way of you and another human, right? And so throughout those years, whether you realize it or not, while while they were fear mongering us and trying to get us all to toe the line and to follow all these rules that maybe most of them didn't even make sense to half the country, they were also pushing this, you know, takeover of a lot of robots, of less people. I mean, mi gente.
They were
don't
pushing
you feel
QR codes, menus
everything
went out the window, and
Especially QR codes.
how many menus came back?
There's no menus.
There's no
really.
menus.
You know,
They want you to use
everything
QR codes.
Everything's QR codes. And by the way, mi gente, this is just
Don't
my
trust.
special thing. I have never trusted
Me
QR
neither.
codes since I saw them in day one.
trust
I do not use them. I do not support them. And just so you know, people who get human trafficked, they put QR codes on them. So I leave it right there. And you know, and that's been happening for a long time. Pero I digress. What I wanted to say to connect all this with all this technology coming in now is that during 2020, they thought that it was the perfect opportunity to now take people out their jobs, remove more humans, and bring in more machine. And I'm sure that
I remember how they wanted us to go cashless because when they grounded us, remember, the money was tainted.
You can't
They
touch the
didn't
money.
even want us touching money. They didn't even want us touching each other. And for all of those weeks, human beings were treating each other like
oh my God.
we were cooties and full of plague.
Also-
some of that has not changed.
No.
Some of you are still looking
A
at
lot of it.
other human beings in the same way, like they are full of plague and they have cooties. Maybe that might be to your benefit, maybe not.
Another major thing that happened is so many jobs went mobile.
Yeah.
Which means
remote.
that now remote. Thank you. Which means that well, mobile too, because a lot of people now can be mobile, pero both. Pero which means that now the machine is the main vehicle, right? So how many of us were
And
trying
then
to
more
call,
things getting recorded.
How many of us were trying to call for supports, banks issues, phone issues, IRS issues, and now there's less people working, or even social services.
You have to talk
like,
to a machine.
You got to talk to a machine that doesn't ever seem to work, or now it even hangs up on you, right? It doesn't even
that's
give you
my
options.
favorite.
So
It appears that you're having trouble. Goodbye.
goodbye, right? So anyway, we say all this to say that when 2020 got ushered in, when that whole pandemic got ushered in, the reason why a lot of people use pandemic is not because people didn't experience real situations and real things and real scary moments and life-changing moments, because everyone did to some degree or the other, but because there was so many other things that was planned and ushered in with it. And if you
Many
look
things that were
around us,
planned many years in advance.
years later, our lifestyle around the world has never been the same. And mi gente, the people that are really controlling the world right now have no plans for that to ever go back to anything normal.
They have told us this. Klaus Schwab said it.
Oh yeah? What's his
We
famous
will
line?
never come back to normal.
Eh?
We will never come back to normal.
And what does he say? What's his famous line about you will own
Nothing. Be so happy.
and be so happy? I don't
Just
know about you,
Very happy.
but I actually do want to own stuff because there are some things that make me really happy.
No, but we're gonna be ushering in tiny homes now.
So circling back to, well, as we're thinking about election year, yes, people that are running this world are probably bigger than our own presidents around the world.
Right.
And we just want to say to the community, please don't get lost in the sauce, meaning don't get so polarized. Stay open, stay grounded, no matter who you support, what your opinions are. Keep yourself in constant learning, which is what we always like to do to ourselves. We may we like to shift as we learn, and also really trusting our inner guidance around these times, because there's so much right now, telenovela wise, that is happening, that's trying to get your attention so they can do other things. And people that are really running this world, guess what, mi gente? They don't care about red or blue. They don't care about gender. They don't care about man, woman. They don't care about race. You know what they care about? They care about just controlling folks, getting rid of a whole bunch, and it's really ultimately
And using you as a resource in
as a
any
resource.
way possible.
And it's really about
energetic too.
evil versus good, light versus dark. So if you want to focus on any polarization or any separation, keep yourself grounded in remembering that it's really between the good and the evil. What side are you going to energize? And do your best to create and live that life for yourself, your community, your loved ones, because the world is out of control right now. And guess what? It's probably going to get worse right now.
I think it's going to get a little harder to be just feeling as a human being. And as we move into the next few months, I would say that any extra money that you have, maybe save it, get supplies, be stocked up in water, be stocked up in things that in case it's a power outage, that's a real thing. Let's look at the math. Like we have already seen places where there's been a push to get off gas and go more electric. Well, that's a great idea. But the more you pull on the electric grid that's not created for all of this electricity to be pulled, you start having places that have blackouts. Like Ruthie from Texas, our friend, one of the producers of Cafecito Break, she had a scare a few years ago where they lost power. And, it was a lesson for everyone because, I mean, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was for more than a day. And you think about, like, what's happening with your refrigerator, right? Do you have your phones charged, right? If there's an emergency, like when we had famous blackouts here, what are you going to do? Can you get gas? Do you have if you're always operating like I'll do it tomorrow syndrome, this may be the ultimate best time to start adapting into let's figure out what I can do today. Maybe
for your space.
Maybe I don't want to carry that extra gallon of water because it's heavy, but maybe you might need it. Because what happens, right? What happened when we closed in some weird way in 2020? There was a toilet paper emergency. Had nothing to do with COVID, but for some reason, ass paper was missing everywhere.
Like that.
Like
off
that.
The shelves like that.
And people were, I mean, the humans that look at us as useless eaters, they must have been laughing those days.
They loved it.
Laughing and laughing. I mean, you know how many of these wealthy people were traveling in their own private jets? Do you think that they were doing this situation?
No.
Some of them were just masking up.
They were living their best life.
For the cameras.
Pero mi gente, seriously, you got to keep things practical for you in your life, right? When my sister says, save your money, she doesn't mean save your money in the bank. Have some cash. And I heard,
that's a good clarification.
Like I heard another person say on a TikTok or whatever, he was recommending when you have cash, have small bills, because God forbid there is a shutdown. All of a sudden that $1 will go up in value. So if you have only hundreds, now you're just giving away money that you don't have to. So whatever money you can have, whatever cash you can have, safely stored somewhere where you only know. Make sure that there are small bills so that you can barter in some way that can be helpful, at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
Water. Food that that does not
Spoil.
spoil.
Just
Like
in case the refrigerator
candles,
goes down.
old school mi gente, candles with matches, and make sure you have plenty of matches.
Batteries, flashlights.
Yeah, and if you can get those things solar powered, so that again, batteries still run out, batteries can still, you know, like get messed up, but if at least you have things that can be solar charged up, the shelf life can be a little longer, you know. And at least just start off with, you know, a simple list, a simple stock, and again, working with your budget and your reality, because everyone's life and lifestyle and money is in a different point. But if you start, just start.
And look, we've made some predictions in the past, and it's predictions we are able to make because you're following sort of like the trends. And this doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't make us feel good that March 2020 we predicted it's on video that this was going to lead to forced vaccinations. On March 2020, the day that they asked us to close before, you know, this is the last day you could have your business open, that Sunday. We made a video. We were very uncomfortable. Maybe you could, if you see that video, you can see maybe there was a part of us that knew that we were gonna get scarlet lettered, because that's exactly what happened, what has happened, what continues to happen. Because if you don't think that speaking out about this has consequences, it has consequences to this very present moment on our lives.
And anyone who has been active or spoken out has had to.
Cancel culture is a real thing. Why? Because they want to control, I believe, the messaging. And if people who are waking up and are rising up and from the divide and conquer games, they don't want those people to get to inspire others.
They don't want momentum.
They don't want momentum.
They're like,
let
keep
me
them
tell
asleep.
you, whenever one of our videos starts going viral, even on Facebook, canceled, blocked, strike.
And listen,
Why is that?
listen, you know, a lot of people are not going to understand that or even really care if that's even true or not.
But they should care. You know why? Because it's happening to all of us.
Everybody.
It's and to everyone, whether you post as your day-to-day because it's your business, or you're posting just trying to communicate with your family member. How come you're not seeing who you're connected to on the algorithm?
The
They
algorithms
keep
have-
flipping it around.
Yeah, they've been manipulating the algorithms in all of these major platforms that are not serving you as an individual or as a business.
And even right now, Google is weaponized the search engine, that when you look up certain things or you search for information regarding certain people, it's going to give you search results that favor the presidential Democratic pick. Is that not propaganda?
Because, to your point, the most important, I would say, resource these days is information. Who's controlling the information?
So you have the freedom to search, but isn't it getting harder to even source out what's true or what's not? The other day I had to archive and delete something that was just maybe a little inaccurate. But because of the way the algorithm is getting weaponized.
And we haven't even thrown in artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Because artificial intelligence is now growing in all of our lives from so many angles that they're also competing now, you know, like when you're kind of doing research on anything, and I would even say even random topics.
Yeah,
I'm not finding.
They're serving up even the summary for you.
Yeah, it's like not even like I'm finding like random topics that are not polarizing, or at least they shouldn't be. I'm finding it harder to research them
Yeah.
or to get
It takes so much
information.
longer now.
Right, it's like extra steps. And then when things do come up, then you got to sort of do your best to decipher between, is this actually someone did the work or AI? Because
Yeah.
after a certain point you can tell. There are a lot of, I would say, clues sometimes, and some of them more obvious than others. But the thing is that the more artificial intelligence keeps growing and developing and being a part of our day-to-day life, it's going to start to become harder and harder to decipher.
And let me tell you something. I've been playing with some of these like AI sort of like where you could like put in a couple of keywords and it'll come up with like a picture. And some of it is weaponized to sort of be for liberal left leaning thinking. Why should it be weaponized for it to be thinking one way or the other? Like, I remember I was trying to create something about Trump. Just writing the word Trump was like hate speech. You might be bullying. I was trying to create something that was like white Indian. That was not happening because, it's only supposed to be of a brown tone. I mean, what's happening here? Because when I look at my reflection, I'm more on the lighter side. So if I'm trying to create something that maybe looks like me, I'm gonna maybe have light white in it as an opportunity, right? Where if it has to do something that I'm looking, and you can't, that's hate speech. You're looking for that might go against our community standards for bullying and stuff like that. There was even something even more ridiculous. I forgot what it was, but it was something really I don't know if it was the word patriot, but I'm telling you, like, the weirdest things are getting weaponized. And to me, that's why. Why is it a weaponization to use the word like Trump, whether or not you think this man is evil? This still is a human being that exists in this world. Why would his last name just be hate speech? Isn't that like an automatic indoctrination? Then that's a search engine that has been created with slants, right? When you are searching, oh, you have the freedom to search what you want, but what's going to come up as the results? Is it to sort of tailor our way of thinking? Oh, on Twitter, I love this. You have the freedom of speech, but not necessarily the freedom of reach. Thank you.
So isn't it so humbling, interesting, and scary?
Very scary.
That in 2024, when we should have access at our fingertips to the most information, the most unbiased information, you should be able to research any topic.
Go old school and get a book.
And get all sorts of perspectives. You should be able to put most, I'm going to say most because there are, I think, certain things that maybe you shouldn't be putting out there in terms of your expression. You should be able to express most things, and if not mostly everything. And by that, by mostly, I mean, those things that are just criminal, and not be canceled or censored. And yet, it just seems like every single day we have less and less access to unfiltered, to information that's not controlled, or to information that is not controlled, and we have less and less opportunity to feel like we can be free in our expression in how what we wanna share, what we wanna say, and especially if it's like quote unquote our platforms.
Alex, you have to remember that everything that we're doing is for your benefit. I have my listening ears on, and I'm hearing that you are not too satisfied with the current state of things.
I am
well,
not.
I'm hearing
all.
you. I am listening, sister. I am listening.
And that is the key word, mi gente, listening. We are always being listened to. Something is always grabbing what you are saying or doing, in ways that we cannot even describe or fathom. And so, yeah, there's zero privacy. We have, it is an absolute lie to believe that you have freedom in terms of your expression, especially on these platforms.
We don't.
And that you're not being censored,
Support
because to my
indie
sister's
media
point, everyone is experiencing
boots on the
censorship
ground.
these days. Everybody.
Like Cafecito Break and the Perez sisters. This is important, mi gente. Look, I just want to say thank you to all of you who have been subscribing, and some of you are seeing us pop up with different people, because we're doing more interviews with people, collaborating, and some of the questions that come up is, where in the heck is your content? That's what happens when you live in a cancel culture, censored world.
The algorithm knows where the content.
The algorithm knows where it is.
Most
of it is unlisted, in private, because regular news topics, a lot of the stuff that got me a strike has gotten us taken down on platforms, maybe they had trouble with some of the words, but it wasn't fake news. It was stories we were reporting on. It's people that we interviewed. It's asking critical thinking questions.
Even topics that have to do with health.
Like right now, there's a lot of channels out there that have millions of subscribers, and then you tune in to what they're saying and you hear the whole freaking message and nothing was said. It was just a clickbait title. Look, people's got to get the money how they got to get the money, but at least we know that I feel comfortable at the end of the day that we really try to operate from a place of integrity. And I think, and I know, and I believe that most people are tired of the inauthenticness that's out there. And
the fighting.
Many people, no matter how wealthy they are in money or like influencer status, people see right through it, and people are tired. They really just want to connect with human beings that feel like that they're organic. They're not perfect. Nobody is. Look at us. We're sitting on the floor on a hot summer day in Brooklyn.
Gente, you know, I would say that the last 5 to 10 years they've been trying to paint us, humans in a particular way. And the truth is that humans, we're not just one thing. There's been this obsession with branding and labels and shit, right? But we're not one thing. The majority of us are little bits of so many different things. Like, I feel like, as a youngin, I was way more liberal and progressive minded than I am today. Today, I feel that I have become a lot more traditional and in some areas conservative, but not all. There are some areas where I still am very progressive in, even more so than my own children, who are a younger generation than me. We're
going to have to probe on what she means in another episode.
Correct, but what the key takeaway here is that we're living in a world with, messy, imperfect humans, because that's the way we're supposed to be, a little bit of everything. And as we're living in a world where they're trying to make you believe that you could be this thing that's just unrealistic, and whatever that thing is, because that could be so many different topics for so many different reasons, but trying to make us be what we're not, just
and to accept what we know is fake news.
And it's not okay. We're
Stop
humans.
It.
We came into this world perfectly encoded, with so much beautiful wisdom, with a human body that is so intelligent.
Respect the temple that God gave you.
The way that it does, the way that our machine moves, it is so like, my gosh, to me, it just humbles me when I learn about my inner systems and how it works. And that's just the physicality. Imagine the energetics, the spiritual. I mean, our whole body. We're amazing beings, and we need to start going back to who we are and loving who we are, and working on energizing that. And that very much starts with you building your relationship with your inner body, your inner guidance, your senses.
I have a little confession before we wrap out. I give little parts of me kisses.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll hug myself,
That's
or if I'm
wonderful.
doing like a little push up or trying to lift a 5 pound weight and this is hurting,
You're like, oh my God.
I'll give my muscles a little kiss and thank it for its hard work.
I do the same thing even with my organs. Like, when, for example, when I make my bladder wait too long to pee, this may be a little TMI.
TMI.
But when I make my bladder wait too long as I'm peeing, I'm like thanking my bladder. The whole, thank you so much. I appreciate that you work. You know, like I literally will sometimes just sit there with specific organs and just thank them for the function that they're doing within my body.
Right.
Same thing with my brain. And it's just different ways of loving you, yourself, and appreciating it. Like giving yourself appreciation. That is
And
so
that's
important.
that's a good thing to say to add. Like honestly, when things get really fired up, and with all of the stress that is being projected out, and we're living like Americans, a lot of people here are very stressed out. I mean, inflation is
Overwhelmed.
overwhelming, and a lot of people are living in very um, difficult situations financially, or with health, or maybe they're taking care of a loved one, or maybe it's like a deep grief. But most people are going through something. And I know what helps me is to make sure that I move that energy, whether I'm walking or I'm listening to a good fast paced song, or if I throw in like a Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion. Why not? I can use that energy current as medicine as long as I'm not
Getting it out.
in the wrong setting, as long as I'm not playing this in front of a church. We'll share your story on another time of Little Ron getting in trouble and interrupting a service by singing some words that were not appropriate outside while there was a church service going on.
But going back to your point of movement, we
Movement is-
probably are at a state in our country and the world where people move the least. Because again, so much of our life has been computerized.
Is that going to be the homework?
And so that's our homework for today to you, mi gente, is, take stock of your week. Like, are you moving every day? Are you exercising? Are you, what are you doing to get your body going, throughout the day, throughout the week? And if not, choose. We always say start small. Choose a day.
I am going to find one of my favorite Shake What Your Mama Gave You mixes, and I'll share it in the link below to inspire you. You can use that as an inspiration point to move your buns or not, but it's just to get and generate ideas. And we look forward to hearing
Movement, family.
what you did to move some energy and get it out of the way. It helps. Like, it really helps. Like, I understand why people go to the gym and maybe want to hit a punching bag. It's better than to be
Or why
taking that
sometimes-
aggression
or why
onto somebody
sometimes
else.
We have runners in our life that are almost obsessed with running, but because it's such a huge part of their self-care, it's
Yeah.
like they feel almost like they missed a meal or not drank water. Like they don't feel hydrated when they don't do that activity because their body now depends on it. Because we are supposed to be, we're always evolving. We're always in motion, and it's time. Choose something small. Go for, if you don't want to shake what your mama gave you, then go for a little walk. Pero just do it. Algo,
Just do it.
something.
Just do it. I'm done now. I see you. This has been Ra.
And this is Alex. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 15, mi gente. We growing. And we pray that you all have an amazing week. Please do not forget to subscribe and like us. And why not, while you're at it, share
Share. Be kind.
to yourself and to others. Ciao.